Hey everyone, welcome. I'm so excited to be here with you. My name's Jess. I'm the founder of Workology and Ace the HR Exam. And I'm going to give everyone a minute just to arrive and we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about, I need to cram for the exam. What do I do? So welcome. Tag a friend, let them know that you're here, somebody that you know that might be getting ready to take their exam with SHRM or HRCI. Let them know about this presentation. We're just going to be briefly talking about cramming, all right, and how to do it. Because if you're like a lot of people, myself included, you might be a procrastinator. And there's nothing wrong with that. It happens, life happens. So we're going to talk about how to maximize the study time that you have. You have a minimal amount of time, whether it's 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week, 5 weeks, 3 days. How can you maximize those things? We're going to be talking about SHRM exams and HRCI. I know right now that we're into the SHRM testing window, or it's happening incredibly soon. And maybe you have booked your exam in just a couple days and you're freaking out. So how do we make the most of our time together, or make the most of our time before our exam so that we can have a positive result? Again, my name's Jess. I'm the founder of ACE, the HR Exam. We have an online training program and membership to support your HR certification efforts for HRCI exams, including the APHR, the PHR, the SPHR, the GPHR, the APHRI, the PHRI, and the SPHRI. On the SHRM side of the house, we have a program just for SHRM, and that includes the SHRM CP and the SHRM SCP exams. I got you. All right, so let's talk about cramming. First of all, I don't recommend it, but realistically, it happens. Life happens. The first thing I need you to do is take a deep breath. Breathe in and breathe out. And I'm here to tell you, everything is going to be okay. All right? We have a plan, we have a strategy, and you are a capable HR professional who's going to ace your HR certification exam. Positive affirmations and just taking a pause can be everything to quiet that little noise or that little voice inside of your head and let you pause. Especially when you're experiencing a lot of stress, or maybe have a lot going on in your life and you haven't been able to devote as much time to your exam, we tend to be really hard on ourselves. The first thing I am asking you to do is take a pause, take a deep breath, say something nice to yourself. Tell yourself something that you are proud of accomplishing or doing, getting through the week, making it to work on time, dropping your kid off at school. Whatever it is, let's think about those things first. We need to take some time to stop, just for a minute, so that we can regroup. I do have a number of stress and anxiety reducing activities over on my TikTok. You can head on over to TikTok at Workology blog. I have a playlist just devoted to breathing techniques for stress. If you don't know me, I have battled with anxiety, depression, really for my entire life. And yoga and breathing has been incredibly helpful for me to be able to banish those negative thoughts, to be able to slow down and just pause. So I have some tools. They are short and simple to do that you can take a look at. It's stress reducing activities. It's the playlist over on TikTok that you can grab. So that would be the first thing that I would suggest that you do. Just take a pause, even if it's just 3 minutes. All right? Take a moment to slow down. When we are always going, and always doing, we are operating in a fight or a flight mode. In order to pass our exam, in order to ace our HR certification exam, in order to give it all, we have to take a moment to reset and regroup so that we can be in the best frame of mind possible to put together a plan. It does no good when we're running around like crazy person trying to do all the things. I would encourage you, when you are going to devote time to putting together a plan, that you shut off devices, phones, computers, notifications, pause those so that you can devote maybe 15 minutes to putting together a study plan for you for how much ever time that you have. This is an incredibly important thing to do because it's just going to help you stay centered and focused so that you can put together something that is realistic that you can accomplish. How many ever days or weeks that you have before the exam, it's important to have a plan. It does no good to grab a book, grab your notes, and start just reviewing materials and just randomly taking test questions and doing things. This is one of the reasons that inside our ACE the HR exam course, we have a pre-study assessment. You can certainly go in and take that assessment at any time. It's in the first 3 lessons of our ACE the HR exam course. Even if you just have days before the exam, I think the assessment would do wonders for you. It's a 70-question assessment based on the exam type. We have 4 different options. We have your PHR, your SPHR, your SHRM CP, and your SHRM CP pre-exam assessment that you can take, combined with a self-assessment. So this pre-exam assessment is going to help you understand where your weak spots are. It has the same type of questions, the same percentage of questions that are going to be on your exam, and it's testing your knowledge to see where your gaps are, because that's what we need to do. We don't need to review everything, because not everything is going to be on the exam. And not everything in the same amount is going to be on the exam either. So what's important is for you to do a self-assessment. You can use our test questions, but then go through an individual self-assessment where you can flip through the downloadable that we have in our course and rate yourself a 1 to 5 in each category, or you can use a book. I recommend Dory Willer's book for the SHRM exams, Sandra Reed's book for HRCI exams. Whatever it is, you're going to flip through each of these chapters and ask yourself to rate yourself a 1 to a 5. A 1 meaning, yikes, I don't know any of this. To a 5, I am a master level at this. Let me give you an example. So if I am here and I'm looking at the people section and I'm looking at recruiting or talent acquisition, I would rate myself a 1 to 4. And I want you to sit down and do this with all those categories. Grab the Bach or the Basque, your book, and walk yourself through each of these categories. It's not just going to be the competencies for SHRM. I mentioned the people competency. You need to go into the sub-competency level and rate yourself and determine where your weak points are. So in the self-assessment, you write a 1 to 5 in each of these sections. I do this on my one-on-one coaching calls. I walk you through this and we put together a plan. So normally we go through all the different sections and categories, and then you are going to take a look at the requirements for the exam. Okay? What is going to be on the exam more likely? So if you are maybe taking the SPHR, there is going to be more business and HR strategy questions than the PHR. So if I was maybe a 2 in that, but in unions I was a 3, I would pick, or let's just say unions were a 2, I would pick business or HR strategy over unions because there are more questions in those areas for the SPHR. You see what I'm saying? So you're going to pick the categories or those sub-competencies or those subtopics that are weak points for you, but are also most likely to be on the exam. And I want you to start with 2 to 3. Normally I would say 2, but time is limited. So we're going to start with 2 to 3. I want you to spend 5 to 7 hours for each category during that week, during that section. And I want you to review the material here inside of your book. I want you to go in and watch videos, whether it's our course or something on YouTube. I want you to take notes, grab flashcards, use audio, use a variety of ways to learn. The last thing I would ask you to do with your 3 priority categories is to teach somebody about these things, okay? Pick a couple topics that you're struggling with, talk to your spouse, your bestie, your kids, your grandma, somebody, and let them know what is going on, okay? And then say, hey, I want to walk you through the difference between ethnocentric and geocentric and regiocentric. I want to walk you through these things. Do you have 5 minutes? When you are teaching someone the content, you have the highest level of mastery and of knowledge retention, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to move this information from your short-term memory to your long-term memory so that you don't know how you know it, but you just know it. So you're going to review, and I would encourage you to ramp up your review, which is why I said 5 to 7 hours. So that's really 15 to 21 hours just devoted to these 3 categories. Now, I still think that you should be maybe reviewing some materials, going through some basic glossary terms, but the majority of your time is going to be in these 3 areas, okay? At the end of your week, or once you've reached like that 21-hour mark, I want you to then go to a practice test section that just has those categories. We have those built into our ACE the HR exam course. So if you're like, I need learning and development and DEI, those are my focuses, there is a 50-question quiz for these sections that you can review. And then this is going to help see if that information is sticking. I would love for you to have an 80% when you take our quiz, but sometimes that doesn't happen, okay? Just try to make a list of the terms and the concepts that you missed in the quiz. Keep a note. You're going to go back and review those things next week, okay? So once you feel somewhat comfortable, I want you to move on to the next 2 to 3 highest priorities again, all right? Doing it this way over a course of 2 weeks, you now have 6 areas that are now moving into your long-term memory. I want you to be reviewing these every single day. Don't just go, I'm going to do 21 hours and I'm going to do it in 3 days. No, you need to break this up. So it needs to be over a period of time, at least 5 to 7 days that you're reviewing this material, because we want, again, to move that from long-term to short-term so you can pass the exam. Even if you have to guess on a question, which will happen when you take the exam, I want you to be able to say, I'm not sure from going from 4 options to I'm not sure for 2 of the options. 2 of them that I know are not correct, so I'm throwing those out. That's going to increase the likelihood that you get that test question right by 50%. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to cram. We're trying to make the most. I don't want you to say, I'm going to read everything and I'm going to study 47 hours. No, you need to drink lots of water. You need to get rest. You need to break up your studying into small increments. This is a concept called spatial learning. You learn best when you were reviewing things in small doses. So I would discourage you from spending 8 hours at a time reviewing the material. If you are going to do that, break up your day. Every 45 minutes, take a 15-minute, 20-minute break. Get up and walk around. Maybe listen to audio terms. Do something different to stimulate your mind, because your brain gets tired. It's a muscle. And now you're suddenly running a marathon when you have been training for a 15-minute walk, right? You're going to continue to do this for as long as you're able. I would encourage you 5 to 7 days before your exam to spend every day doing at least 50 test questions. This is in addition to your review. Go through test questions. We want to put you into the frame of mind and environment where you're practicing these. So you need a lot of test questions. It's one of the reasons why we have 1,100 test questions in our test question bank inside of ACE the HR exam. And while I love and encourage you to utilize test questions from many different places, please know that all test questions are not created equal. You need to make sure that the questions that you're using, especially these last 2 weeks, are as close to the exam as possible, which means that your questions cannot just solely be memorization with options. You need to be utilizing, especially with SHRM, situational judgment test questions. This is so critical for you to be able to do. Practice makes better. We need to put you into an environment where the test questions are as similar as possible to the exam, really those last 10 days before the exam, so that you are fully prepared and ready to take the exam. So let's just say you have 24 hours before the exam. I really will say that I do not think that there is much more that you can learn 24 hours before the exam. I would encourage you to eat a good breakfast, get a good night's sleep, make sure that you've drank some water, meditate, do some exercise, something to help put that anxiety at bay so that you are primed and ready to go for when you take your exam. I want you to continue every day to say nice things to yourself about your capability, the fact that you will pass the exam. Do not speak in terms that you are not passing. Do not say, if I pass the exam, or I don't think I'm going to pass the exam. No, you are passing. I believe in you. You believe in you. When you roll up to test day, whether it's a testing center or at home, I want to make sure that you take some deep breaths and get into that right frame of mind and know that you have done everything that you could to be able to prepare for this exam. And that whatever the outcome is, you have done your best. Because the last maybe 2 weeks, 5 days, 48 hours, you have. I can't control the me who I was 2 weeks ago, but I can control the me I am right now and how I think and what I do and how I make sure I'm setting myself up for success. That is how you cram for the exam. The key to acing your HR certification exam is an inside job. It is self-guided and self-directed. I cannot be the person, or your coach or your teacher cannot be the person that drags you to the office or to your book to review your materials. You have to do it for yourself, which means you have to have discipline, you have to have motivation, and you have to have a plan and a strategy. Making sure that we do our self-assessment at the beginning, as early as possible, so that we can set ourselves up for success, because the goal is not to know everything that's inside of this book. I don't know everything that's in this book. It's just not possible. The goal is to know enough of the material to put yourself in the best position to be able to answer more questions than not correctly. Now, I have another video on our test question framework. I'm not going to go into those things. You can head on over to acethehrexam.com. We have that inside of our course. It's available to you. It's a 5-step framework, which is designed to help you increase your chances to answering the test question correctly, even if you don't fully know the material. And I actually did this like last week. My daughter is taking AP biology. She's in high school. I haven't taken biology in over 15 years, right? At least high school biology. It's a long time. Let me just say that. And the question that she asked me was, do you know the answer to this test question, Mom? No, I don't remember because it was 15 years ago. But using my 5-step framework to answer the question, I was able to increase my probability that I would answer the test question correctly. And I did. And she was like, what happened? How did you do this? And I was like, oh, I used my test question framework. It works even for biology. So that is what I would encourage you to do. I believe in you. You have the capability. You have all the tools. You have all the resources. Let's set yourself up for success. Cramming is not about knowing all the material. It is about knowing enough information to ace your HR certification exam. So let's get you to the highest likely categories, those subcategories that are most likely to be on the exam, reviewing those. So you turn those from weaknesses into even strengths so that you have a better chance of acing your HR certification. This is our strategy. This is what I talk about in our ACE the HR exam program. If you're like, that sounds great, I have some time, how do I get over there? The place to go is ACE the HR exam. And I would encourage you to take a look at it now because it's $49 a month. But if you are moving into the testing window into 2024, meaning January 1, the price for the course is going to be increasing to $89 a month for the subscription. So head on over there, lock in your price now. Even if you're testing in January or February, the time is now. If you're going to be testing in May, absolutely head on over. HRCI or SHRM, we have options for you. My name is Jess. I am your HR certification coach. I've been in human resources for over 20 years. I've been teaching HR certification strategies. I'm certified myself, and I created my own course because I wanted an on-demand way for HR leaders to be able to learn quickly and to have it affordable so that you could have a positive result. The old way is not the best way. Our brains are different than when we were in college or high school. Just like the old way of doing HR or how we lead managers or teams has changed. Our program takes advantage of digital tools and resources. We have 1,100 practice test questions and counting, that pre-study assessment that you can grab, as well as over 140 lessons in different categories and topics. I have them organized by these subcategories like I have been talking to you about. So we have a recruiting and talent acquisition section. It has short videos, audio, additional resources for you in those areas. Same with diversity, equity, inclusion, learning and development, all those areas that are on the exam. I have broke it down this way so you get exactly what you need. Head on over to acethehrexam.com. Let me know if you have any questions. I am here to support you in your HR certification efforts. The time is now. It's never too late to get started. Even if you have 48 hours using these tools and strategies that I've talked about, it can lead to a positive result and you can ace your certification exam. The most important thing is that you learn something about this experience and that you can take it with you in your personal or professional life. That is what learning and growth is all about. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Let me know how I can support you. Ace the HR exam is where you should go. Let me know and have a great day.